Hey book lovers, there's a good news for you. So from today onwards, what I'll be doing, I'll be reading out all Shakespeare's plays. Yeah. So in a very short span of time, you will be able to get the crux of all his plays. And how would we do that? This small book contains all his plays. Yeah. So these are actually summaries of all his. Let's take a quick glimpse of this wonderful book. Let me show you this. Okay. And before starting with the first play, let's go ahead with the introduction and then we will proceed with the life of William Shakespeare. All right. It won't take much time. So let's go ahead and start with introduction. Okay. Introduction. Even if you have never read a play by Shakespeare, you have probably quoted him countless times without even knowing it. His words are so timeless, so universal that over the centuries they have become seamlessly integrated into our lexicon. Surely you have called something a sorry sight. That's from Macbeth. As is, as pure as the driven snow. Bet the last time you said that you hadn't slept one wink, you didn't realize you were quoting Cambeline. Ever been in a pickle? Well, so was Trinculo in the Tempest, and a wild goose chase. That one's from Romeo and Juliet. It's entirely possible that the mere mention of the word Shakespeare makes your eyes glaze over, inducing not so pleasant high school flashbacks about test and stuff. If so, fasten your seatbelt because his plays are actually packed with action galore. Wars, murder, love at first sight, deceit, beheadings, fairies, duels, divorce, marriage, feast, plays within plays, and yes, even some beast with two backs, Othello action. Of course, it would take you forever and a day, taming off the shrew, to read all of Shakespeare's plays. That's where this book comes in handy. Whether you want to get acquainted with the plays in a hurry or are in search of a refresher course, don't let its diminutive size deceive you, though. In this compact tome, you'll find summaries of all 38 of Shakespeare's plays, along with succinct descriptions of major characters, illustrations, opening lines, and some more iconic lines, efficiently organized for either digesting small chunks at a time or devouring the entirety at one fell swoop. After all, you can never have too much of a good thing. This is from As You Like It. Okay? The life of William Shakespeare. In 1623, dramatist Ben Jonson said of Shakespeare, he was not of an age, but for all time. Boy, was that a keen and prescient observation. But perhaps even Johnson would be surprised by just how widely read Shakespeare's plays are more than 400 years after they were written. We actually don't know too much about William Shakespeare's life, aside from information found in public records. The son of John Shakespeare, a tradesman, and Mary Arden Shakespeare, William was baptized in Stratford, England on April 26, 1564. At 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 26 and already pregnant with their first child. Daughter Susanna was born in May of 1583. Twins Hamnet and Judith followed less than 2 years later. They had no more children due to the fact that Shakespeare soon after moved to London, leaving his family behind in Stratford, though still taking care of them financially. By 1592, Shakespeare was already a rising star as an actor and playwright in London's bustling theatre scene. The center of this scene was a playhouse called the Theatre, which was succeeded by the Globe, which later opened in 1899. Shakespeare is known to have had an ownership stake in a company called Lord Chamberlain's Men from 1594 to 1603, the death of Queen Elizabeth I, after which it was called the King's Men in honor of King James I. Shakespeare died in April of 1616, some say on his birthday, and is buried in the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford. With his personal life somewhat mysterious, some have theorized that perhaps Shakespeare's plays were actually written by a group of men or someone else entirely, though these notions can be neither definitely confirmed nor denied. They are dismissed by most as mere conspiracy theories. Enough background. It's high time, comedy of errors. We get to the good stuff, the plays. Let's start with the first play. Henry IV, Part First. So here are the four major characters in this play, starting with Henry IV. His conscience weighs heavily with the guilt of how he came to the throne. Prince Hall, a rebel prince who goofs off and hangs around with degenerates, a disappointment to his father. John Falstaff, old, fat, untrustworthy, and a thief. His wit and lust for life amuse Prince Hall. Hotspur, hot-tempered and impulsive, he is the son of the Earl of Northumberland and a foil to Prince Hall. Let's start with the story. The play opens with King Henry IV wishing to go on a crusade to the Holy Land, but unable to because of unrest and rebellion in his kingdom. Henry is annoyed because his own supporter, Hotspur, son of the Earl of Northumberland, Henry Percy, is refusing to turn over Scottish rebels caught during the recent Battle of Homedon. Hotspur wishes Henry would pay the ransom for Edmund Mortimer, his brother-in-law, who has been captured by Welshman Owen Glendower. After all, the Percys were instrumental in getting Henry the crown from Richard II. So he kind of owes them a favor. The king refuses Hotspur's request, causing the Percys to decide to band with the Welsh and Scottish rebels in their quest to dethrone Henry. Meanwhile, the king's son, Prince Hall, has been doing a little rebelling of his own, hanging out with a very unroyal crowd of drunks, thieves, and one Sir John Falstaff, who is an old and overweight thief and liar who nonetheless is witty and lives life to the fullest. Falstaff amuses Prince Hall, but Hall realizes that one day he will need to change his ways, step up to the royal plate, as it were, and start acting more princely. This time comes sooner rather than later, with Hall receiving instruction from his father to return to the palace because a civil war is imminent. Given a position of high command, Hal promises the king that he will change and claims he will defeat Hotspur in battle to prove his sincerity. Hull asks Falstaff to assemble his own soldiers, who are also unfit for battle naturally, and join him in the fight. The Battle of Shrewsbury ensues without Northumberland, who has fallen ill. Prince Hal saves his father from the sword of the Earl of Douglas, who then moves into attack. Falstaff, who falls and plays dead, Prince Hal fights and kills Hotspur. Falstaff miraculously awakens from his pretend death and sees Hotspur's lifeless body. He impales Hotspur with his sword and loudly claims credit for killing the young Percy, which Hall does not contest. Henry IV is victorious. He orders the execution of Thomas Percy and much of the Percy family, but decides to show mercy on Douglas, releasing him. The battle is over, but the war continues as there are still many who wish to see the king dethroned, including Glendower and Hotspur's father, the Earl of Northumberland. It's finished. Hope you like this play, and let me know how did you find it. And we'll be doing this daily, and till we are through with all 38 plays. Keep reading and keep learning. Stay safe. Bye bye.